Good morning, Metru Nui! Welcome back to another episode of the Barraki Talk Show. We're your hosts, the Mielik brothers,
Jacob,
Samuel,
Thomas, and we're glad you're joining us today as we talk our way through the weird and wondrous world of Bionicle. But first, coming up on the Barraki Talk Show.
if I had a nickel for every time there was a Kikanalo screaming Deus Ex Machina, I'd have 2 nickels.
Which is the stupidest thing possible.
Yeah.
You're
Really
gonna
dumb.
get shot, Mattel. Because there is a door that they lock, and it's just a door. I don't know what else to
It's
tell
a
you, Greg.
hexagonal door.
Oh, well, yeah. Greg didn't say no hexagonal doors, now did he? All that and more coming up on the Barraki Talk Show. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at the 2004 Legend of Metru Nui movie, which serves as an introduction to the city of Metru Nui and as an explanation of how all the Matoran ended up on Matanui. So, since Samuel was the designated note-taker for this venture, you'll be leading it off, Samuel.
Yeah,
Wait, real quick, I think we should say what are our opinions on the movie, just
Well,
overall.
that's what I was going to say. So, like, just to get this out of the way, we did just watch the movie. So, we're going to be covering, like, our thoughts about the movie and what we saw in the cool choices they made, some of the weird choices they made. So, we'll start off by giving our general opinion. So, Thomas, let's start with you. What did you think
Yeah,
of the
these
film?
opinions are fresh out of the oven, right? Steaming hot takes. Speaking of steaming hot, this is a steaming hot dump of a movie. Wowza.
Oh, come on.
Nah, all the people who worked on it should be executed.
Wow.
No, I'm just joking. Anyway, this was a massive step up from Mask of Light.
Oh, yeah.
However, that was a massive step up from nothing, right? That's like a step up out of the pool. You're nowhere near Mount Everest, right? If that analogy makes any sense.
It does not.
I think it depends on how far
You're
from
Okay,
sea
from
level your house is or your pool.
It's like a step out of the sea, okay?
Okay,
You're nowhere
there
near
we
Mount
go.
Everest.
That's good.
Exactly. Because the sea is at sea level. Samuel.
The sea is not even close to Mount Everest.
That's
the point.
Oh, I see.
You see? Level?
Huh?
Okay. So, I think it is much better. The character designs especially
Yeah.
were vastly improved. I'm like, wow, I can look at this and not throw up, right? Not to be too harsh, but yeah, I'll be that harsh. I thought some of the audio had like strange issues. It was weirdly quiet at some points and others. The plot I thought was very bad. It had no discernible structure to it besides fighting Big Bad at the end. Makuta being the twist villain was the least surprising twist of all time. But I was almost kind of thrown off. I didn't know if he was impersonating Doom bodily because he was talking to himself in a mirror, apparently, in like the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I guess. I don't know. It was very strange.
Yeah.
Vakama was so whiny through the entire thing. I felt it was kind of
Until like right at the end.
yeah, wouldn't just seem like a switch,
Yeah.
right, rather than a choice. Same with all the mask powers. They don't learn to use their mask powers. They just randomly use their mask powers. It's like, what? Also, the mask powers, how they're used is misleading to how they're actually used in lore, right? So it's like, I don't like the mask of illusion is not the mask of shapeshifting, even though they say, oh, it's shapeshifting. It's like, no, it's just an illusion, bro. So I thought that was very strange. Some cool action scenes. Sad we didn't get to see any elemental powers, but the effects on like the hits, the particle effects were really good. I thought the lighting was also very good. And voice performances were pretty solid across the board. And I think my final note of praise is the design of Metru Nui was really, really cool. It felt alien, it felt unique, but cohesive, right? Like I was pointing out, like all the Metru Nui stuff has hexagonal patterns. So when they eventually use like the Matoran spheres, it's strange because there's not a lot of spherical objects on Metru Nui.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a nice touch to show it's more alien.
And and you pointed it out, but it draws the Toa's attention too, right? Like they they're immediately like, this is weird. This is different than what we're used to. And it's because they use that hexagonal design language through the entire rest of Metru Nui. And then you have the spheres. So
yeah,
it's a cool choice.
So those are my opinions on the movie. A lot of good aspects, step up, but not a good movie, in my opinion.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right.
What do you think, Samuel?
I think that, like Thomas, I agree. It was a massive step up from Mask of Light. It was more cohesive, or maybe not, like, it was more understandable as a story. It felt like a rushed story instead of like it was just missing massive components where you're like, this doesn't really make sense. Like, Mask of Light, I guess, didn't feel like it was necessarily missing stuff. It just felt like there was nothing there to begin with,
Yeah.
right? So it just didn't feel like a really well thought out story at all. This one also, I wouldn't say that it feels like a really well thought out story either, but it's a little bit more understandable to see where they were trying to go with it. Overall, just as far as like actual technical improvement, it was massive. Like Thomas said, the character designs so much better. Like, I cannot even express how much better. Like, it was literally within the first few seconds of the movie, I was like, wow, these are actually really good. Like, this feels like something that someone really thought about and designed instead of just slapped into a movie because they needed to get it done.
Well, and like Jacob pointed out, they actually improved the Metru design by giving them all unique secondary colors to make them stand out more.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yes, this looks so good.
Yeah, and it does look really good, and it almost makes you wish that the actual sets had followed that, right? Because it's just, you're missing that, and in the movie, it adds that extra punch and that flair to the characters. I thought the setting was really cool. Again, like Thomas was saying, the way they had actually designed Metru Nui and all the different Metrus, I think is excellent. It looks very much like how I would imagine Metru Nui. I will also give the disclaimer that I was probably influenced in how I view Metru Nui because I watched this a long time ago as a kid, probably before I ever had a definitive picture of Metru Nui in my mind. So there's that. But it does get across that kind of like the industrial side of the Bionicle universe. Let's see, what else?
Any more opinions of mine you want to steal?
Yeah, all of them. They're so good. I love hot takes. I'll take them, throw them back in the oven. They'll be hotter takes.
Or they'll be burnt takes.
That's true. I think by the time they get to Jacob, they'll be burnt takes. So I can benefit off of them.
Give us your crispy fried takes, Jacob.
Well, I have some slightly different opinions and some shared opinions. For example, I also think that just the overall visual language of the movie was a massive improvement from Mask of Light. And also just the movie, plot-wise, again, not an amazing plot, but still a significant upgrade from Mask of Light to me. Much more enjoyable. Like, I actually was like, okay, I could watch this movie again, you know? Whereas I watched Mask of Light, I'm like, I think I'm good.
Yeah, definitely got that same feeling.
Yeah. I really overall liked most of the designs. For the Toa looked really good. I like those secondary colors like you were talking about, I was talking about. And
I credited you.
In
my totally own opinion.
Nadiki and Kreka I liked. I felt like they maintained their overall look from the sets and kept, a pretty consistent design. Dume looked cool. He kept that neat Turaga vibe. I liked his little pauldron thingy. Another thing I really liked was the vehicles. I thought the vehicles were pretty cool, the ones that we got to see. Although I would have liked to see more stuff like the airships. It would have been neat to get to see more like of the speeders and things like that. Well, I mostly liked the designs of the different Metrus, but some of them were pretty underwhelming, and really we only got to see much of. I mean, the only one we really got to see any amount of was Toa Metru, and even then, that was not very much. All you really see of Metru is the chute. Pretty much all you see of Toa Metru is the forge the Vekama works in.
Yeah.
Pretty much all you see of Toa Metru is the one scene where Lycan goes and delivers the Toa Stone.
Well, Great
to
Temple's in
Nakama.
Toa Metru.
Okay, but
it doesn't really.
Toa Metru.
Yeah. You see a little bit of Toa Metru.
Again,
the knowledge tower is super underwhelming.
Yeah.
And all we really see of Onu Metru is the archives.
And surprisingly little of that for how important the archives are to like every other story for the Metru.
Yeah. So I was like, the Colosseum is really cool. Don't get me wrong. I like the Colosseum.
And you see a ton of the Colosseum, actually.
Yeah. But I wanted to see more of the Metrus, and I just felt like you didn't get to see them at all. And the frustrating thing, too, is, and this is jumping ahead a little bit, but, in the next movie, you still, again, don't get to see much of the Metrus. So it's like...
Well, you do get to see the Metrus, but it doesn't...
But they all look the same.
Yeah.
They're very homogenized at that point.
Yeah.
So it's just frustrating because it's like the Metrus are the coolest part of Metru Nui, and you just don't get to see much of them at all.
I think Nui's the coolest part of Metru Nui.
Right, yeah.
It's at least the greatest part.
Yeah. Certain little aspects were just really bothering me, like Kreka and Nadiki being able to fly randomly. I kept harping on that the whole time, but I was just like, this is so stupid.
Remind me, did they put their legs together exactly like the Rakshi?
Like the Rakshi.
Just like the Rakshi.
So if you guys recall, we talked about Rakshi during Mask of Light, and it was just like, why can they fly? Why is this a thing? And that's exactly
so stupid. It just doesn't make any sense. It's frustrating. Especially since like Makuta has wings and Matau has wings, and it's like, okay, the Matoran use hover bikes and airships to fly. It's like they can't just put their feet together and magically fly for some reason. And it's not like, it's like with the Rakshi you could at least go, okay, well, it's like a species thing. Nadiki isn't he's a mutated Toa.
Yeah.
Right? Kreka
and he's certainly not the same as Kreka.
Yeah, they're not even remotely the same.
I think Kreka's just a Steltian laborer.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So it's like they're not even similar at all. So and they fly in the same ways.
Yeah. They so stupid.
What happened? They just ate levitation discs off screen. Just
chow down on levitation
dish.
Legislation disc.
Legislation disc.
I think you really could, like, if you really wanted to find a reason, is just chalk it up to Makuta gives them the ability to fly somehow.
But Makuta isn't directly working with
He's
Nadiki
just hiring them.
He just hired them. They're Dark Hunters. And the Dark Hunters definitely don't all have the ability to fly, for sure.
Maybe the Shadowed ones like you two fly
I'm
now.
just saying, like, because they were directly working with them, just because he hired them doesn't mean that he wouldn't want to give them enhanced abilities to complete the task.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's pretty clear that Makuta doesn't really care much about Nadiki and Kreka. Especially since he absorbs them at the end of the movie.
Well, no, I'm not saying from the goodness of his heart. Right. I'm saying as an effectiveness, right? Like if he just wants to have them catch Toa or Matoran or whoever he's trying, or Lycan for that matter, it's just like, why wouldn't you give them additional power to make that job easier?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The other problem being, if he has the power to grant flight by putting your feet together, why does he need wings?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Because he likes looking cool.
Good point.
He is very theatrical. So I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility for Makuta to want to just be over the top. But that I will give you that is a big stretch. So...
Okay, a question. Sorry, did you have more to say about
No, I was
that?
just going to say, yeah, go ahead.
Are we going to actually go over, like...
Yeah, we'll go over
the basic plot?
That's what I was going to say. Should we move into the plot now? Because we're kind of getting into specifics.
Then we can go into more, like, analysis.
Well, I do want to say something just as a general overview sort of thing I have two thoughts. It kind of reminds me of the animated Hobbit movie, where it's like... They had all the stuff that they seemed to need to get done. And so they just were like, boom, this thing, boom, this thing, boom, this thing, boom, this thing. And so it's like there's a whole bunch of these little events that technically contribute to the overall story, but they're so like fast and almost self-contained that it's like you don't feel like you're on a grand adventure, which The Hobbit, the animated one, really feels like that. Like you aren't on a grand adventure, but The Hobbit, the book, feels very much like you are. So it's like, where did that get lost in translation? And the whole time we were watching that movie, I'm like, this reminds me of The Hobbit. Why? And I think it is because of that weird like segmentation where they're like, you know, just this little bit here, this little bit here, and then by the end you don't feel like you win on this whole journey. You just feel like you got a whole bunch of random bits of information thrown at you and there's a story.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel especially like grand or legendary.
Yeah.
And for something that's called The Legend of the Bionicle, it should be more grand, I guess.
Yeah.
It seems like.
When we get into the plot, I'll bring up more relevant opinions.
I did have the other thought was, did they have like a quota for what they had to cover in this movie? Or not like a quota, but like a set amount of, I guess that is a quota, a set amount of story that they had to cover for the film specifically?
I would assume, yes. We should probably do some research on that. But I would assume that they had to include the Great Disc storyline and then kind of wrap up basically the whole first year.
That's what I was wondering, because it's like
Metru.
It feels, like I said, it just feels so disjointed. Like there are so many things they're trying to cram into the movie that it's like it just moves so fast from one thing to the other. And it's like, if you had just removed, you could have removed 50% of that movie and had it be a much tighter, much more enjoyable and impactful story, because the whole beginning is them becoming Toa, then immediately rushing through the whole Great Discs, right? Like the whole Great Disc subplot, right? And it's like, which isn't really even a subplot. Like that is the plot for the entire first
2 books.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a big thing. And they just rush through it. And then so they can kind of get to the main story of the movie. But it's like, why even cover that? Like, what was the need for that? Because it's like, this was already covered in the books, right? And like, presumably some of it was at least alluded to in the comics. This, like, I don't know this for a fact.
Comics followed the books pretty close.
Okay, so it's like you would have seen a lot of this happen already in other media, right? And it's like, so what was the necessity in putting it in the film? Like, they could have just started where the Toa walk into the Colosseum with the Great Discs. The end, right? Well, the start,
or
really.
You don't even need that, because the Great Discs only matter for making the Vahi, right? They don't need... The movie could have been about finding the Great Disc. They could have just walked in and be like, we're Toa now. We look like Toa. We are Toa. Because Doom doesn't care about the Great Discs at all when trying to discredit them, and it gives no weight to the Matoran audience in trying to legitimize them, right? So, like, just don't have them with the Great Discs when they go into the Colosseum for the first time, have Doom discredit them, and then they can either find the Great Discs later on while they're running or something, or just have something else make the Vahi.
Which, to be fair, though, this movie was clearly written... The script for the movie was clearly written based off of an existing storyline and story beats, not vice versa. Which I don't know if this...
What do you mean?
Like, it's obvious that the collecting of the Great Discs and then, like, you know, becoming Toa, collecting the Great Discs, you know, being betrayed by Duma, and then going through the whole process and then trapping Makuta at the end. That is all beats that were planned out that the movie had to follow in that order, right? Like it, and not the other way around. Whereas the script for the movie obviously did not influence the books. It's very clear that it was the other way around, right? At least that's what it seems like.
It's difficult because the movie teams are separate from the book team, mainly Greg, right? So he just has to write the novelizations of the movies. Like with Mask of Light, he can make some alterations, but it's like they dictate what happens.
Yeah.
They could have changed. As far as I
But
know,
they
a lot
didn't
of
do
things.
a novelization for this movie.
They do.
Did they?
Yeah, it's the 4th book of Adventures.
Oh, okay.
Or Legends, or whatever the Metru series is called. Mm-hmm.
It's just
No, Legends is the Barraki one.
Are you sure?
That's Ignition.
Called Legends.
I believe you, bro.
I think this one is Tales. Tales of Metru Nui. Adventures. It's Adventures. It's 100% for Adventures. Yeah. You
My
said
bad.
Adventures
I
first. then.
left you. I led you.
Legends is Voy Nui.
Just going back to where we started, it's like I just don't understand exactly why they chose to do the movie the way they did it, because you could have given yourself an extra 15 minutes, not having all this extra junk that you had to explain at the beginning of the movie. And it just feels so weird. Like it just feels weird. So that's just my question, is like, could they have chopped out stuff? Like, it was covered in other places. Why did they feel like they had to explain it?
I think a lot of it comes down to the confusion that Lego had with the multimedia approach that they were taking, right? Because, and this actually happens a lot all throughout Bionicle's run. Early on, it was especially difficult because you had multiple different sources of story.
Mm-hmm.
So you had like the Metru Nui online game. You had the comics. You had the books.
Yeah.
You had promotional materials. You had the short videos. You had the commercials, right? All of these were things that were telling the story, but in a different way, in different perspective, a little bit different, version for each one.
Yeah.
Right. It's not until later on when Greg Farshtey starts writing the books that things start to like homogenize a little bit, but you still have an issue with what is the primary like storytelling platform that we're going to use here, right?
Yeah.
So like because it seems like initially the comics were really more of an afterthought, and the primary storytelling was done through like animatics and the game and stuff like that, right? Whereas later on, especially even after this, the comics become the primary source of the Bionicle story, and the books and the movies and stuff and the games are all more secondary sources, right? And you can see that a little bit in this, where it's like, how do you, like, what parts do you actually tell to catch people up on this story, right?
Yeah.
Because if you haven't read the comics, you don't know about the Great Discs. So they have to, like, talk about it a little bit. If you have read the books, then you know about the Great Discs, but the movie book hasn't come out yet, right? So you don't actually know what happens in the movie. So that's all stuff that they have to cover.
Yeah, it's
right?
new.
Yeah, it's all new. And then you should fact check me on that. I'm pretty sure that the book did not come out until after the movie came out. Yeah. But and then and then what was weird too is there was sort of a drought in terms of like games and animatics and stuff like that at this point. And so really the only storytelling media for this like 2004, it's really mostly just 2004, honestly, a little bit in 2003, is just the comics, which are lackluster, the books, which are very detailed, and then the movie. That's pretty much it. Later on, you end up having some of that stuff comes back. Some of the video games come back. Some of the animatics and the commercials and stuff come back and do storytelling. And then the comics become very, very like detailed and become the primary storytelling source.
Yeah. I would say, like, for Metru Nui, if you want to enjoy it, there are a ton of different avenues, right? Metru Nui online game, any of the various games set on Metru Nui, books, comics, animatics are all great ways to enjoy Metru Nui. But for Metru Nui, I would stick pretty much with the books or comics. Like, I think that's the most cohesive and enjoyable way to see them.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the comics are very much... Yeah, the Metru Nui comics are just not that good. Unfortunately.
Yeah,
I don't think the Metru Nui comics are all that good either. Yeah, it's really not until you get to like 2006 that the comics actually start to get good.
I think this is a little too boxer though. Should we go to the movie plot like we promised 20 minutes ago?
Sorry.
It's fine.
I think it's good discussion. It's just
Yeah.
Also, just for information, the movie did actually come out after the book, but only by about a month.
Okay.
So
it was based off of the script and has cut scenes in it. So like the script was written first.
yeah.
Then the novelization.
Presumably, you wouldn't have read the book before you'd seen the movie, but
If you were like an avid fan,
Yeah.
like buying the books or grabbing them from the library as soon as they released, then you may have seen it before the movie, but I don't know how many of those people are out there. If you were one of them, let us know. Okay, so let's go ahead and give a little bit of the plot, and we'll just walk our way through, and if you guys like have comments on
I thought you
as
were
we go
talking to
through.
the audience for you guys. I'm like, this isn't live.
No, you guys. So as we've kind of discussed already, the movie starts with Toa Lee Khan grabbing the Toa Stone. So he goes to get the Toa Stones out of... Does he get them out of the Suva, or where does he get them? That was
he got
kind
him
of
out of the
unclear.
Suva.
Okay.
they don't actually say in the movie, but yeah.
Well, I mean, you see him take them out of something, but I don't really know what it is.
Yeah, I think it was the Suva.
So he takes the Toa Stones, and then he's immediately attacked by Nadiki and Kreka, who are two dark hunters that are hunting him and then the Toa for the rest of the movie. So he escapes because his board, which he has in the actual set, can make him fly.
well, first he escapes by making 3 jumps out of this giant temple and flying out the window. And when I say these jumps are massive, I'm talking like 30-foot jumps from a standstill. It's crazy.
Miramax loved their jumps.
Yes.
Yeah.
They saw El Tahu and Mask of Light. They're like, more, more. So they really play up the physicality of the Toa in these movies, which I guess is good because they don't use any elemental powers or Mask's powers for most of the time. So it's like, all that's left is the physicalness, right?
I think it also makes for an interesting enough spectacle visually, right? It's like, like we'll talk about it later, but some of the masks, it's like, they portrayed it in a way that's like, that's not how that would actually look in canon, but it's because they had to make it visual somehow. And it's like, that's so much easier if you just have them run around, punch things, break things, and jump all over the place. So it's like,
yeah.
No, it makes sense.
I'm down for biomechanical robots jumping 30 feet in the air. Don't get me wrong. I just also like when they shoot fire.
Yeah.
True. Anyway, so after he jumps out of the temple, he then jumps off of a bridge and gets on his flying board and escapes. And so then we get a sequence. We're treated to this beautiful, well-paced sequence where he flies around to all the Metru, hands one Toa Stone to a presumably random Matoran. Like, I mean, we know that they aren't exactly random.
They all know him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is why they refer to him by name or whatever.
I feel like a lot of Matoran would have known Lee
He
Khan.
only
was
knows
the
6
single
Matoran.
Toa, right?
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, so he only knows these 6 Matoran and happens to be one of each type of Matoran. Anyway, I digress. So he goes and gives the Toa Stones to the Matoran and tells them basically each, like, keep it safe, essentially.
Keep it safe, keep it secret.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lee Khan, the last one he goes to is Vakama, and we see Vakama first before Lee Khan shows up, and he's working in his forge, and there's this weird little Borak type thing that we all
like
were
a-
like, what is that? It's like a Borak without the faceplate,
Yeah. It's so weird.
or windshield as we called it.
What is that and why does it exist? Is there any precedent for like small, purely robotic creatures that would be like assistants in some way?
Like the Borak Va.
That's exactly what I was about
Fair
to
enough.
say.
I was thinking specifically in terms of ones that Matoran might use, but
No, that's pretty much the only time we ever see it.
You mean like the Borak Ba?
Yeah.
the,
I mean,
The Matoran do use them.
This is true. This is true.
These could be based on Borak because Metru Nui does have a bunch of Borak in the archives. They know what Borak are, so they could have just been like, I like my little robot guys to look like Borak. Simple as that, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
Fair
just
enough.
taste, a stylistic choice.
A weird one.
Vakama's just a Barraka-phile.
Barraka-phile.
So he's working on a mask, and he's trying to make what we will later learn is the Mask of Time. But it keeps failing. He keeps breaking it. And so Lee Khan walks in, and actually I got ahead of myself. He is not working on the Mask of Time at that point. It's later when Duma comes in.
Correct.
So forgive me.
Crucify this man.
Lee Khan comes and visits Vakama. No, wait, I did read it right. I did remember it.
Get him off that cross.
I'm sorry. Lee Khan did visit Vakama while Vakama was working on the Mask of Time prototype. So as they're discussing and he's giving him the Toa Stone, of course, Nadiki and Kreka show up to ambush them, which is a running theme throughout this whole movie. Like, I don't think Kreka and Nadiki show up expectedly ever. They just all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, they're just wherever
Attack.
the plot needs them to be. Well, because they can fly, Samuel.
Yeah, makes sense. So Lee Khan gets captured, and they also are capturing Vakama, but then by Lee Khan's prowess, he is able to knock his hoverboard under Vakama as he gets dropped into his own forge.
Yeah.
And it saves him. Vakama lands on it and is able to escape, but then Lee Khan gets taken away by the Dark Hunters. Then, like, right after this, it's kind of weird because we talked about in the Toa Metru episode how Vakama gets visions, right? And it's like, but it's once he becomes a Toa, except for right now. Like, right after Lee Khan saves, he has this vision of...
To be
well,
fair...
he's already touched the Toa Stone, so maybe it's a Toa Stone thing.
Well,
true.
Okay, to be completely fair, though, that vision is visually distinct from the other visions that he has.
I don't think so.
It is. I remember thinking that because I was like, whoa, that's weird that he has a vision now before he becomes a Toa, but it's a little bit different. A little bit.
Maybe Lee Khan was just like directly talking into Vakama's
What
mind.
is Lee Khan's
like,
mask power? Oh, it's the How.
It's
Yeah,
Hal.
it's the Hal.
Yeah. So definitely not.
So it makes you wonder,
telepathy.
how is he doing this?
Maybe he shielded Vakama's mind against the real world, and therefore he created a vision.
He shielded off parts of Vakama's neurons, so it made him hallucinate that exact vision.
There
I love
you
that.
go.
Yeah, that's actually pretty smart.
It's brilliant. All it needs is anything to work about it.
Anyway,
The
he
Hal
has
can do
this
anything.
vision where Lee Khan tells him to save the heart of Metru Nui, and you're kind of like, what's the heart of Metru Nui? And that's a running question throughout because you'll hear this a lot. Nearly every time Vakama has a vision, actually. Naturally, the first thing Vakama does after seeing the only Toa being taken away by the Dark Hunters is he goes back to his forge.
Naturally.
Because I don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why. It's to go get his Toa Stone, because right when the Dark Hunters show up, he stuffs it under this pile of masks. And so then he goes back to get the Toa Stone, and then he opens it and finds that, look, so it's in like a wrapper. It's not just the stone by itself.
Yeah, it's a wrapper with a very specific design on it, but I couldn't figure out what the design was.
It was the map to the Great Temple.
Yeah. So once he unwraps it, inside is the map. But I thought you meant on the outside. I was like, no, it was just
on the inside. Because I was trying to figure it out. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, because he says to follow them. Lee Khan says to follow the map to one of them. I can't remember if it was Vakama.
I think it was Whenua.
That's kind of who I thought.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Or maybe it was Nuju. And to Whenua, he said, don't archive it.
That's
he did
right.
say that, yeah.
But
because he's a fun guy.
Anyway, so he has, once he unwraps it, there's the map to the Great Temple. So while he's looking at the stone, Turaga Dume appears out of nowhere with his little cronies, and he basically is like, hey, where's the Mask of Time, Vakama? Aren't you like a great smith? I need it. And Vakama says that he hasn't been able to craft it properly because he like he's been using the finest discs he has, but it keeps breaking.
Yeah. Skill issue.
Power level 8.
Yeah. Anyway, so Duma leaves, and then Vekama follows the map to the Great Temple, and that's where he runs into all of the other Matoran. And so they all have this brief discussion, and Onawa or Onua.
Yeah, it turns out his name is Onawa.
So according to Biosector, it is actually an acceptable pronunciation either way. However, Duma is pronounced Duma. There is no other way. We've always said Doom because it's spelled D-U-M-E.
You guys have always said Doom.
You've said it too. I'm sure we have a recording of you saying it.
Duma on you.
Anyway, so forgive us for our sins.
Crucify this man.
Hatanui, save us from our sins.
We're all
Anyway,
getting sent to Karzani now.
Straight to the Red Star.
so what I was saying is Onua, of course, has to throw some insults, especially at Vekama, because Fire Spitter. Actually, Matau also says it several times in that sequence.
In that first scene, Matt Tao's more of a jerk than Onua is.
Yeah, definitely so. Anyway, then after that short discourse, they take their stones and they put it into the Suva, and then a giant hologram of Likan's head pops out and tells them, actually, what does he tell them? Probably to save the heart of Matanui.
That part bugged me because that makes no sense. Likan's face just popping out of the Suva and like giving them this message.
Especially since Suvas aren't programmable because they're just
Right.
a stone structure.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you doing, bro?
Sorry, that just
and it's really weird because it's not like we needed that information.
no, not at all. No,
It just
It
we
was
got it
purely
whether we asked
for-
for it or not.
it was purely for like dramatic purposes. And it's like,
I think it was just a reference to Zordon from Power Rangers. They're like, we got to get a giant floating head in a pillar of light.
I mean, there are a lot of similarities to Power Rangers. So
both of them have the color red.
true.
green.
Anyway,
Sometimes.
so once they put the stones into the Suva and they see Likan's head, they get zapped by this electricity or power or whatever and get transformed into Toa right there. So after they become Toa, they have a discussion because Vekama like gets this vision, another vision, where he gets told to save the heart of Metru Nui. Shocker, really. And it also says in this vision to go find the Great Discs. So he comes back from this vision and he's amongst the other Toa who are arguing with themselves and just talking to each other, and he tells them what he saw, and basically they're like, yeah, whatever, bro, like fine, we'll go find the Great Disc. None of them really particularly like Vekama. Some dislike him more than others, but basically they still decide to go find the Great Disc. So
The Great Discs that are said to be so hidden and hard to get, only a Toa could ever find them.
You mean like the one that's in an icicle?
Yep.
But only a Toa could ever find them, but then they immediately go to Matoran to help them find the Great Disc.
Exactly.
Though this is not actually in the movie, but we did cover that in the
Maybe they meant
Toa
only a
Metru
Toa
episode.
could retrieve them.
Maybe that's what they meant. We'll go with that.
Even though climbing a sculpture is not that hard to do.
Yeah.
I feel like the only one that was actually genuinely difficult was No Commas.
Yeah, Nokamas would be pretty difficult, and the one in the fire pits with the Morbizak. That'd be kind of
True,
difficult as
true.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. So the search for the Great Disc is actually skipped, not entirely skipped, but largely skipped over in the movie. You basically see them retrieve the disc, and that's it. You don't see any of the actual search or how they got there or who they talked to prior to that. And then this is kind of where the movie actually starts into the part of the story that you don't see in the comics or the books. Like, this is all the new information. And so it starts off with Duma giving a speech in the Coliseum, talking about Likan disappearing.
Unfortunately, Likan is gone. Oh.
And is that where, like, so there's a statue of Likan in the middle of the Colosseum. Did they unveil that? I may have missed.
No, it was
No.
already there.
So
Just
it's
there.
just there.
Yeah.
So
There are
they're-
a ton of statues of Likan throughout the entire movie.
they love him.
Like,
I
yeah.
mean, isn't the entrance to
The Colosseum
The
is a
Colosseum,
giant
a
version
mask.
of his mask.
Yeah.
I mean, like we were talking about in the Metru Nui episode, shout out to the Metru Nui episode, go watch it if you haven't watched it yet. But the Likan was the sole Toa of Metru Nui for a very long time. So he was he became this incredibly legendary figure to the point of, venerance, basically.
Yeah. And from the brief time we see of him, he's pretty goated.
Yeah.
yeah.
Insanely goated. I do really briefly want to go back, and we can come back real quick. I just wanted to say, they do give very, very brief reference to the Morbizak in the movie.
Yeah.
So just really shortly. And
you just see Vakama hanging upside down, caught up.
And you don't
the
see how he gets
Morbizak.
out of it, because they show how all the other
Yeah,
like get the
true.
disc or whatever. It's by like, nope, Vakama's toast. Sorry, guys.
They're like, this would be too hard to do on our budget, so
Yeah.
he's just gonna hang here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I did just really briefly want to say that they actually do mention it, but just incredibly briefly.
Mhm.
Yep. So as Duma's giving this speech, the Toa walk into the Colosseum, and they basically are like, hey, Turaga Dume, we're the new Toa. Here's the great discs, right? And he recognizes Vakama as Vakama because he obviously knew him as a Matoran because he was demanding the Mask of Time from him. He basically looks at the discs and he's like, you aren't real, Toa. Like, he's like, unless you can pass this challenge, essentially. And so he gives them a challenge to cross the sea of Protodermis, and that sea is definitely in quotation marks, because basically the floor of the Colosseum is made up of a bunch of hexagonal pillars that are all flat to begin with. But then as he starts this sea, there are waves generated where each of the pillars lifts up a little bit sequentially, right, to make like the crest of a wave.
Yeah.
And so
Sometimes there'll also be targeted attacks, though.
yeah, like
they'll
just
be-
random one punch.
Like with, oh no, that was hilarious.
Yeah, like he's got comboed off of two sets of pillars that kept hitting him. It's like, what are you supposed to do there?
Yeah, so the Toa are trying to get through that, whatever that means, and they get absolutely destroyed.
And the reason they don't use any of their elemental powers is because just before this, they exhausted all their elemental powers fighting the Morbizak.
oh, that would have been nice to know.
Yes, when I've watched the movie and first read the book, I'm like, why don't they just use their elemental powers? Are they stupid?
Yeah.
Well, they are stupid, but that's not the reason why.
This time.
And at
Yeah.
this point, they don't know how to use any of their mass powers
Correct.
either. So they do get a little bit of a pass, but
Mhm.
not much.
No, yeah, with what they had at their disposal, they had no chance, right? Which is what Duma was hoping for.
Yeah. So basically, they completely fail the challenge, and Duma's like, you guys are imposters, you're not real Toa, and you took Likan. And the Matoran are all like, oh, really? And Vakama's like, no, you took Likan, because right next to Duma are Nadiki and Kreka, who we saw take Likan, who Vakama saw take Likan. And so it's like, I don't know how they didn't put, like, the thing that bothered me is why would they even offer him the great disc in the first place when they could clearly see Nadiki and Kreka behind Duma? They're like, yeah, these are the guys who
Well,
took
they came out a
Likan.
bit after, like during the season.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah.
I
that's-
don't think they were there when the Toa were offering. the
Okay,
great
fair
discs.
enough. That
Yeah.
I will give a little bit of caveat here. I was taking notes through the whole movie, so I probably saw a lot less of the movie than I should have. But that's why Jacob and Thomas are happy to fill in for me.
Yeah.
One thing that's just something to note is Nadiki and Kreka are dark hunters, and what that means is something that we will discuss later. But
I mean, the name says it all.
yeah,
They're evil people. who
basically
hunt-
mercenaries.
Yeah.
for hire, more or less, and they're just different species and creatures of all kinds.
Dark Hunters are their own faction, though, and the end of this movie actually does have implications on the lore going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So after Vekama accuses Duma of actually taking the con, this giant vortex opens up in the middle of the Colosseum and starts sucking the Toa in. And Nuju, Onua, and Wanua all get sucked in. But then Matau, Vekama, and Nokama are all able to stay out of it by various methods. But as they're like near the point of getting sucked in, Vekama turns around and shoots a disc at the statue of Likan that's in the middle of the Colosseum, and it falls and closes up the vortex. And so then they are able to escape out of the Colosseum just by running away, essentially.
And also note about that, he shoots it at the base of the statue to collapse it. In the book, it's referenced as a weakness disc that he shoots, but in the movie, it just straight up explodes.
Mm-hmm.
So make of that what you will.
I also would like to comment, and I will comment on this a few more times throughout.
No comment.
No comment. No, a comment, because it's about Vekama.
There we go.
He pulls the disc out of basically nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'll see this multiple times where it's like, he's not wearing a backpack. He's not wearing anything. He like pulls a disc out, looks at it and goes, nope, not that one. And then pulls another one out. And it's like, where is he pulling these discs from?
This is a potentially a little bit of a tangent. It's not actually Boxor, but it's a little bit of a tangent. So the Toa can actually pull items out of the Suva magically. So they can store items, and it's collective, right? For the whole Toa team.
So yeah, you can have individual Suvas or Toa Team Suva. The Toa Metru all work from the Great Temple Suva, which is where they get all their original Toa tools from as well. So if something's in the Suva or on your person, you can teleport it back and forth. So if they reach behind their back, they're grabbing something from the Suva, it teleports to their hand, and they can use it. In the books, though, it does reference Vekama having a backpack full of discs because he runs out frequently because his backpack can only carry so many discs, and that is not present in the movie for some reason.
So in this one particular instance, the movie might actually be more canon than the books. You could still have a backpack and have the Suva. Yeah.
Because otherwise you're storing like 500 discs in the Suva. It's like,
And there is actually limited space in the Suva.
Yeah, it's however it can physically fit in the Suva.
This
right?
is sort of stupid, but I think of it like an ender chest in Minecraft.
Yeah,
where it's like
it's sort of like an ender
like
chest.
you don't fill up your ender chest with garbage, right? Like you save it for really, really important things.
Well, and
right?
that's why Toa generally only had their masks and Toa tools in them.
Yep.
So, yeah, like when Takoro thinks, Tahu loses all of his Nuva masks.
Yeah.
Because they were in the Suva.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a bummer.
Okay, so the three that escaped the vortex, the three Toa that escaped the vortex, basically run out of the Colosseum and then jump. They're being chased by the Dark Hunters, and they jump into a chute. And which we discussed in the Metru Nui episode as well as the Toa Metru episode. But they're the big old, I don't know,
Hyperloop style.
Yeah,
transportation
system, exactly. So they jump into the chute and it takes them away, and the Dark Hunters are like, curses, foiled again. And so then they go off, like we basically see the Toa in the chute for just a little bit, and then it cuts back to the Dark Hunters who went to find the control room of the chute, and they're threatening one of the Matoran, who we know as Kongu, who actually we have mentioned in the Madanui episode as, so
captain of the Guko Bird Force.
Yep. So he shows up. He shows up quite often.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they threaten him, and he tells them, like, okay, basically, we'll try to reverse the direction of the chute. So they reverse the flow within the chute, and this just sucks the Toa back the other way. It's weird, though, because, like, they get sucked backwards and end up just in Metru
somehow.
So it's like, I don't know what the purpose of that was. Like, if they weren't going to try to head them off, why did they reverse the direction of the chute? Anyway,
It's all very confusing.
it doesn't really make sense, but that's what they did. So while that's happening, the 3 that got sucked into the vortex, we cut to them, and they're just stuck in a stone prison.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, vortexes lead to stone prisons.
And now you may be wondering, well, can't Toa absorb their element to restore their elemental energy? And you would be correct.
But apparently not in this stone prison.
This stone prison was made out of special stone.
Yeah, unabsorbable special stone.
Yeah, but not unbreakable, as we will see later.
So, as they're all sitting there wallowing, a Turaga actually appears out of the darkness, and it's kind of like,
It's totally not Lee-Con,
who's
guys.
that? And so, but we only see him briefly, and
He's wearing a helmet.
Mm-hmm. Over
Yeah.
his mask.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like a normal person.
At
Hey,
least
these
he's
are the
not
people
wearing
that-
a mask over
Yeah, I was
his
going to say,
mask.
these are the people that wear masks on their
Over
masks.
masks.
Good
So-
point.
So anyway, then we go back to Nokama, Vakama, and Matau, and they're hanging from the chute in Toa Metru, because they are trying to get out of it, I guess, or they get knocked out of it. I can't remember.
They get out of it because the flow is reversing, so they cut their way out.
Okay. So they're just hanging there, and they're trying to figure out how to get down because they're probably like 300 feet in the air. It's quite high.
Yeah, that's another note. Everything in Metru Nui is very tall.
Like
Yeah.
really tall.
Really tall.
And as far as I know, Toa don't have good resistance to fall damage.
I mean, they can jump 30 feet, so you think they could fall 30 feet.
Well, I feel like that was way more than 30.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was 300 feet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
10 times is a little bit of a hard pill to swallow.
Anyway, so they managed to explain to me how they did this, because I honestly missed this part. Did they swing? Because they were on Nokama's hydro blades, right? And they like swing off and grip onto one of the nearby pillars?
Yeah, so there's like a support
Mm-hmm.
pillar that was holding up, managed to like land on it, basically.
Mm-hmm. Because it's girdered,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they just land in the crack. But Mad Tao drops off of it, and he's like, oh, no, I'm falling. But he's the toe of air, and he has 2 things.
Arrow slicers.
His arrow slicers, which he put on his back, and they just sprout wings, and he can, like, glide.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
So he gets away mostly safely, but this is actually kind of a cool nod, is he runs, he's bragging about flying, or maybe not bragging, but he's like, this is so cool, and then he runs into another pillar, which has a giant Duma propaganda poster
Yeah.
on it, but there's Metoric written on the bottom. And we actually read it, and it says play well, which for you Lego fans will know exactly what that means. So that was just kind of a fun,
That
like,
was the Lego motto in
little
like
nod.
2004.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that while they're hanging in the middle of this, Vakama has a vision.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so he basically just sees Lee-Con again. And Lee-Con... Sorry. That's what it is. Sorry. So he sees Lee-Con, and then he sees the unity, duty, destiny symbol, and then it turns into a Toa star, or a star, which then we later learned is a Toa star. Anyway, and so then he wakes up, and Matau's yelling at him because he's spacing out as they're about to die.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a valid
I'm with Mad Tao
Point.
on this one.
yeah. Anyway, so that's when they see the spirit star appear in the sky. So once they're on the ground, once they have made it down and Matau's found his wings, they see the spirit star appear in the sky, and you learn what that is. Nokama, I think it was the one who says it. She's like, that's totally Khan's spirit star, which means he's still alive, because every Toa gets a spirit star. And so they see that the star kind of goes towards Toa Metru, so they're like, let's follow it towards Toa Metru. So they get on this weird beetle.
It's
Vaki-
a
Vaki
Vaki transport,
transport.
but it's like a weird beetle looking thing that has tons of legs.
Yeah, just kind of scuttles around. very strange,
because
very
there are no
bulbous.
wheels in Bionicle.
There are
yeah.
no wheels in Bionicle.
And you would also say the same thing about love and doors, but we will get to that.
Yes, we will.
So as they're inside this transport, they find the pods. And so we talked about this when we were talking about our general impressions of the movie. They're stored in these hexagonal like compartments on the walls. And so they're just little spheres with like a door on it, essentially. And they're kind of like, what are these? And Vekama walks up and touches one, and then of course has another vision where he sees the pod, and then the door open, and inside of them is a Matoran.
But then the Matoran looks up and has evil, glowy eyes.
Oh, yeah. So he comes out of the vision and is like, the Matoran are in danger. You know, we need to figure this out. And so they go.
He's like, the Matoran are in danger. Matt Tao's like, my evening is in danger.
He's like, all I wanted to do was go fly some more. So then it cuts back to the other Toa, and they're still in prison. And the Turaga is basically telling them, hey, you guys need to master your mask powers. And they're like, how do we do that?
Yeah.
I'm going to just kind of add some parts here instead of switching back and forth because it doesn't matter so much. So basically, the Turaga blindfolds Whenua, and has him just kind of like, we just see him wandering around the cave, like trying to do something, and Onua's laughing at him. And then the Turaga is also trying to teach Nuju how to use his mask power, and he's basically like, build a tower out of these stones, right? And so Nuju's picking up these stones and trying to build a tower and complaining about it because he's basically like, this is stupid. There's no point in this. And Onua is also laughing at Nuju because that's just who he is.
Yep.
So then the Turaga is like, hey, stop laughing. Go help them both.
Yeah.
And that does get him to stop laughing.
Carry rocks blindfolded, idiot.
Yeah. So that's what ends up happening the next time we see them. We see Onua with a blindfold on, carrying rocks. So
Based Turaga.
yep. Anyway, so then during this time, Vekama's group, they get off that transport and they're in Toa Metru, and they're just kind of in this like almost like a basin or a canyon, maybe.
It's an assembler's village.
Yeah, so it's like it's multi-tiered in a way, and it's almost like just a quarry. Like there's just a bunch of like random huts, a ton of stone, and there's these high stone walls around them where there's like another level.
And there's statues in various states of assembly.
Yeah.
Mostly statues of Toa Likan. A randomly large amount of Toa Likan statues. They don't have statues of anything else. It's all Toa Likan.
I mean, it would make sense that the ones they're currently working on are of Likan, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he just disappeared under mysterious circumstances, right? So,
it's odd that there's no one around. Like, they kind of point that out. There's like, why is there no one here? And then...
Oh, you forgot to mention when Vekama got the vision about the sleeping Matoran, he opened the canister and nothing was in there.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. But they go to this place and there's a stack of those canisters, which they do not open.
Yes. Suspicious? Where'd all those Matoran go that are supposed to be working? Anyway, right then they're ambushed again by the Dark Hunters. They all kind of speed this along because it doesn't really matter. They basically get into a fight. Matau gets stunned, and right as the Dark Hunters are about to finish him.
Capture him,
yes. They get stampeded by a herd of Kikanalos, which are like wildebeest. I mean, rhinos.
They're like banshee rhino buffalo.
They stampede
two-legged
like
rhinos.
wildebeest, but they look like rhinos.
And they scream like banshees.
They
Yeah.
also walk on two legs, and then they have little arms.
They
like,
hop.
Yeah.
They leap.
Anyway,
They bound.
so the the stampede comes out, scares away the Dark Hunters, and then the Toa are running away from them, and then suddenly Nokama
Mask glows.
masks glow, and then she finds out that she can actually talk to the Rahi, and so she turns around, gets them all to stop, and then she talks to the chieftain of the group, and he basically gives her information telling them that they need to go to the place of unending whispers because they're looking for the other Toa. And so it was kind of at this point in the movie where we were also like, wow, Matt Tao's actually pretty funny in this movie. Like he gets better as the movie
he's just
progresses.
having little goofs and gags all around that are fairly comical.
Yeah. So then they hop on the Kikanolo and start riding off to their destination. So going back to the other Toa, as Onua's helping them with this blindfolded rock lifting task, he butts heads with Whenua, not literally, but and
They run into each other.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, but they didn't butt heads. That's the important part. Onua's mask starts to glow because it starts to glow, and he tells Whenua to sit down.
Yeah, he's like, take a seat, young Skywalker.
Exactly. And so Whenua then sits down, and so it's like, okay, cool. Onua figure out his mask power.
It's the mask of mind control.
Yes. So again, this is kind of weird because in the Toa Metru episode, we talked about the mask of mind control and kind of how it works and how it's represented in all of the other stories. In the movie, it's more like a external force. Like it literally grabs Whenua and like
Wenua's protesting the whole time, like, I don't want to sit down, you're stupid, but like his body just sits down. Except later in the movie, he uses it on Kreka, who seems to actually be mind controlled.
Yeah, it was much more like a Jedi mind trick at that point, which on Kreka makes sense.
Yeah.
Kreka is a moron throughout the whole movie, which
very stupid.
Inconsistent mask usage will be a staple of this movie, and you will like it.
Yeah, exactly. Also at that basically exact moment, Nudru just looks at a wall and it explodes. And he like figures out that he can like,
well, a beam shoots from his eye and hits the wall, and then it explodes, and then he moves all the rubble in front of him.
Yeah.
Because, that's how telekinesis works.
So
that is how telekinesis works.
Yeah.
Exploding beams is not part of telekinesis.
It wasn't exploded.
It was
like
just
ripped
a directed,
from the wall.
like, I think it was to represent his concentration of just grabbing those chunks of wall and ripping them out.
It's like
it wasn't a literal explosion.
It's like what's-his-face, Ebony Maw in Infinity War, where he just rips out a chunk of the ground.
Yeah.
More similar to that.
Fair enough.
So, since they ripped a chunk in the wall, the Turaga's like, hey, let's go. Like, we're good. And apparently he didn't want to wait to see what Wenua's mask power was.
Well, and Wenua's like, I'll lead the way. I know these tunnels. But I'm like, you've never been here, bro. If you did, you would know where you are.
That's a really good point. I didn't pay attention to that.
Like he's just lying through his teeth.
Right.
So then it goes back to the other Toa. This movie actually jumps, like there's a ton, like maybe 30 seconds to a minute with one group, and then like a few minutes with another, and it's like they just go whoo, 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 whoo. It's really weird. Anyway, so it goes back to the other Toa, and they're now being chased by Vaki. Even though they're riding the Kikanolo and they're being chased by Vaki.
Yeah, because they go to the place of unending whispers, and there's like a legion of Vaki just standing around doing drills.
What is the place of unending whispers? They never explain what it is.
No, it's just kind of a prison.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
I was like, ooh, that sounds cool, and then it's just like a place that they go to.
Yeah, there's no whispering.
It would have been so
any sort
cool if it was
time.
a giant pit, okay? Kind of like in the Dark Knight Rises, the prison. Mm-hmm. So it's a giant pit, like it's a prison, just like that. But it's
there is
way
a prison
bigger
called the Pit in Bionicle.
Well, but yeah, I do understand that because this is
although
the
strangely,
Barraki talk
the pit
show.
is not a pit.
Yeah, ironically.
But anyway, what I'm saying is there's a pit. It's a prison, or it was a prison, and so when you walk up to it, you first just see this massive pit. So every time you talk, it echoes like forever because it's just such a deep pit. So I thought that would have been really cool if that's where it got the name, the place of unending whispers.
I at least thought they were going to play with the canyon bit of it, right? Where canyons echo and it like comes back.
Yeah,
I thought they were going to do at least some of that, but nope. Which would have been so cool with the Mask of Illusion, because the mask can do auditory tricks as well.
Yeah.
So he could have been doing all crazy sorts of stuff to distract the Vaki.
Yeah.
But
no. No, what we got instead was a bunch of just running around and doing random stuff.
So like they're all riding the Kikanolo and all the Vaki are chasing. Then like Tokyo drift around and all the Vaki fly off a cliff.
Yep.
It's like, okay. And then there's some Vaki left. So 5 Kikanolo scream really loud and blow them away like a tornado.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Believe it or not, this is not the last time the Kikanolo will just randomly scream and have stuff like just come crashing down, or they are very powerful apparently vocally.
Like, give a herd of Kikanolo to anyone and they will conquer the world. Like, these things are busted out the wazoo.
Yeah.
If
Anyway,
I had a nickel for every time there was a Kikanolo screaming Deus Ex Machina, I'd have 2 nickels.
So of course the Dark Hunters again show up, and Matau mask then starts glowing, and he figures out that he can make an illusion.
Because, he's hiding behind a pillar, and they're splitting up to go around each side and catch him, right? So he activates his mask, impersonates Nadiki, and says to Kreka, I already went around, keep going around. And then he impersonates Kreka, talks to Nadiki, and is like, ooh, go around. And then he scoots away, or whatever, right?
And laughs at them and says, shape-shifting baby, or something stupid.
He says something about it being worth the wait.
Yeah. Which it's not a mask of shape-shifting.
Like,
explicitly.
It's like there
is there a mask of shape-shifting? Or is that just an ability?
It's a power. It's a
mask of
Makuta power?
mutation. And Makuta can shapeshift at will.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, is it like a Makuta power, not like
because
just
there's a
Makuta
Roshi
power.
that can
Okay.
shapeshift.
Yeah.
There's a shapeshifting.
That's
Roshi.
where
it's
I've
a
heard
Makuta
it before.
power.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it was just kind of weird because it's like, well, that's blatantly against
And
canon.
he only refers to it as shapeshifting.
Yeah, never illusion.
Never illusion.
Even though it is literally the mask of illusion.
I wonder if it was just as a way to distinguish it more from the Kama's mask, which is technically the mask of camouflage, right?
Concealment.
Which could be confused with illusion potentially. But I don't know if they ever even say what Vikama's mask is specifically called. In the movie.
In the movie they don't say it. No. He
No.
just turns invisible, and you can pretty much figure out that it's the mask of turning invisible.
Right.
Yeah.
But the shapeshifting thing is even weirder, because Turaga Matau on Madanui has things where it says he can make auditory illusions, because on Madanui, first wave, it's called the Mask of Illusion.
Yeah.
Never the Mask of Shapeshifting at all, ever. So I'm like, where are they pulling this from?
I have no clue.
Greg's behind again.
I don't think Greg had anything to do with that one.
That's why he said they pulled it.
Like,
Fair enough. I do not like that motion you just did. That
I don't like
was
this
bad.
whole imagery. Please forget this. Anyway.
For our viewers out there, you should be incredibly thankful we are not recording this live.
So, the Toa enter the place of unending whispers, and then the Kikanolo scream at the entrance, and it collapses it, so it locks them in to keep anybody else from following them.
Which you would think that a herd of Kikanolo standing there guarding the door would be enough.
Might give it away.
But no.
or you'd think that screaming super loud in the Canyon of Unending Whispers would have any repercussions. But nope.
Nope.
They're fine.
Yeah. Anyway, so after that, it cuts to Nivok, who is like Duma's
Little hawk buddy.
hawk, yeah.
In the set, Nivok carries him around. He has like a little strap and
Harness.
holster baby carrier thing.
Yeah.
But he doesn't in this one.
Anyway, so Nivok sees the Kikanolo like block the entrance and the Toa go in. And so then he goes back to Duma. And then we see at that point that it's like, oh wow, surprise, Duma is actually Makuta this whole time in disguise. So not really a big surprise, and it's definitely not the biggest twist of the century by any means.
Not even the biggest twist of the last 20 minutes.
True. Anyway, so then it goes back to the Whenua Onua Nuju group, and they're walking through this cave, and suddenly Wenua's mask starts to glow, and he, for some reason, lights up the whole cave so they can all see.
Yeah, because someone goes, "It's kind of dark in here," and then he just
and then it
just starts
Yeah,
glowing.
his mask turns into a flashlight.
He's just like, boom. I'm
Which
glowing.
is funny. I'm glowing. Maybe you should cup your eyes a little bit.
You know, the next time you drop your keys in the dark, I'm not gonna glow to help him.
What's funny though is, speaking of mask inaccuracies, his mask is the mask of night vision, not the mask of everybody can now see in the dark.
Not the mask of light up the entire room.
Yeah. So, whatever.
Like
I don't
I
know
said,
what they're doing.
Yeah.
But, and so right at that point, they run into Matau, Vakama, and Nokama. And so that's when you also learn that the Turaga who's been
you didn't
with
say
them.
the funny part.
What is the funny part?
The funny part is they run into a Vaki.
Oh no, Avaki comes
Yeah,
running towards
barreling
them on
toward
all
them. Yeah.
fours.
And then Wenua's like, "Ah!" and he like starts beating up the Vaki, and it turns out to be Matau shapeshifting
Yeah.
because he was trying to scare them.
You
Which
mean
is the
illusioning?
stupidest thing possible.
Yeah.
You're
Really
gonna
dumb.
get shot, Matau.
Typical Matau move.
Imagine he runs towards Vakama, and Vakama just unloads like
Just
20 explosion discs.
Takes out the great disc.
Which
He's
totally
I was
exists.
saving this. Anyway, yeah, you're right. I forgot that. So we learned that the Turaga that was with them was, wow, Lee Khan the whole time.
Yeah,
What?
because he takes off his helmet, it's just like old Lee Khan now.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Lee Khan.
Khan.
Like, yeah, whatever.
Which you can see clearly through his helmet, because like most of the front of it was exposed.
Yeah.
So it's like, that was, is that a lamer twist than Makuta being Doom?
I think so, actually. Or at least a less surprising twist. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. They're both so bad, to be honest.
The biggest twist was the Kikanolo screaming. Both the Turaga twists are tied for last.
Yeah. Actually, one of the better twists is that the Matoran are in the pods.
Mm-hmm.
That's one where you're like,
True.
oh,
True.
that's
was a pretty
cool.
good
I
one.
did not see that coming. Anyway, they also, Lee Khan's like, have you protected the heart of Metru Nui? And Vakama's like, well, we're rescuing you. And he's like, I'm not the heart of Metru Nui. The Matoran are the heart of Metru Nui. And they're like, oh, duh.
Which Lee Khan could have just said that. It's like, protect the Matoran, but instead he had to be all vague.
Yeah, right?
What a loser.
That's very fantasy mentor of him.
As soon as
Yeah.
you become a Turaga, suddenly you can't be useful at all.
At least he's not even half as useless as Nuju. So,
Good point.
you know.
Yeah.
Turaga Nuju, that is.
Yeah.
And-
They're both Nujus.
yeah,
honestly.
good point.
It's really interesting. Nuju has one of the most powerful masks, in my opinion. Like, of the Metru for sure. And he just like doesn't use it in this movie.
Especially since it
besides
solves so
breaking
many
through the wall.
problems. He's like, oh, I need to get you down there. I'll make like an ice bridge to get you down. I'm like, you can just telekinetically lower him down.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal.
Yep. Anyway, it's just kind of weird. So when they're in this cave, of course, there are pods everywhere because there seem to be pods just all around. They open one up, and the odds of this seem extremely unlikely. So I don't know if Lee Khan knew why this one, but they open it, and inside is the real Turaga Dume. And so, again, there are literally thousands of these pods, so how they happen to pick the only one with Turaga Dume.
This one is in the prison flex.
Yeah, but there were several pods there.
Probably other important Matoran.
But I'm saying the first one
Yes,
they
yes,
choose.
yes, it was
They've
a
opened
coincidence.
two
We
pods
understand.
this whole movie.
It was their destiny to open that pod,
Okay, that's
Samuel.
fair. I'll accept that. And so that's when Lee Khan's like,
Bionicle's favorite get out of jail card.
No, their favorite get out of jail is teleportation.
Yes.
Okay,
Then
true,
energized
true.
protodermis, then destiny.
Okay, fair enough.
but in this movie, their favorite get out of jail free card is telekinesis.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. Literally.
Because they get out of jail with it.
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway, so that's when Lee Khan's like, hey, like, I knew there was something suspicious about Duma in these last X amount of years, unspecified amount of years. And so then Vaki show up, real Vaki, not Matt Tao. And so they're like, we gotta get out here. So they hop in a Vaki transport, and Whenua drills a giant tunnel in front of them,
Yeah,
right?
because they're in apparently a docking hangar of some sort, but the only door in is not big enough for the Vaki transport.
Notice he said the word door.
Yeah, because there is a door
Because there
that
is
they lock,
a door.
and it's just a door. I don't know what else to
It's
tell
a
you, Greg.
hexagonal door.
Oh, well, yeah. Greg didn't say no hexagonal doors, now did he? Anyway, so there's no way to get this Vaki transport in or out normally that we can see. I don't know how it got in there,
Yeah.
but whatever. So Whenua uses his Earthshock drills to drill a hole out, but he's not big enough to make a hole that big.
like the Vaki transport is quite large.
Yeah.
So
It can hold all of the Toa and Lee Khan.
and tons of Matoran pods.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like, this thing is like the size of a house.
yeah.
maybe not that big.
Like
but
a
it's
small
pretty
house.
A small
big. A
house.
large bus.
It's large
a
bus
very
size.
small rock.
Anyway,
Very small rock.
so he drills out and they make it out into the flats of Pokoro somehow. And none of the Vaki pursue them, I
Nope.
guess.
They're just stuck there behind the door.
This is where the movie gets real whack with time and distance.
Yeah.
I'll say.
This is where I feel like they were running out of time to finish this movie, and they're like, we're just gonna finish it.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting thing is once they get out on the flats too, Matt Tao makes this really weird comment to Nokama about how like this would be a nice romantic, like he could envision them on like a nice romantic ride through like the scenery or something like that. And it's like, romantic ride, love? Is he implying love? 2 minutes, probably less than 2 minutes, we see a door. And then 2 minutes later, we see love.
Take that, Greg.
So,
Don't believe your lying eyes, you fools. Would Greg ever lie to you?
Greg's never lied to me. I don't know.
I would really quickly, this is a side note, a box or if you will, but I was reading I started Hamlet, okay? And I was just reading the overview of it, and it was
Did you
talking.
take my Hamlet? Or?
Yeah. And it was talking about how Shakespeare like believed in I can't remember exactly how it was, but it's basically like we feel like reality is certain, like we understand things clearly and perfectly, like motivations of people, and it's like, but no, it's like a reality of appearances, I think is maybe how he said it. Quick correction here, it was actually French humanist Michel de Montaigne, not Shakespeare, who expressed this ideology that we live in a world of appearances and can never know the realities and motivations behind human choices. Hamlet seems to have been written with this ideology in mind because there are many choices that the characters make that you can never clearly determine why they made them. If you find all this interesting, I learned this in Spark Notes' No Fear Shakespeare version of Hamlet. So you could go check that out if you want to see where I got my ideas from. Anyway, my point to that is maybe those doors aren't actually what we think they are. Maybe, and I'm not saying this in like a weird like Barkley like matter isn't real sort of thing. Like I'm just saying like maybe Matt Tao's advances are more misinterpreting his motivation, his
Sure, yeah.
When the writing is so good, you have to bring out Shakespeare just to try and comprehend it.
Anyway. I really digress on that one.
Yeah, you digressed hard.
So we see Duma summoning all the Matoran back to the Colosseum. Duma. Obviously, he's coming to the end of his master plan, whatever he has in store for Metru Nui. So the Vaki transport like scurries like super fast, and so somehow they cover, like Thomas said, the time, like the the time and distance compression is crazy at this point in the movie.
Like,
They
when
just
we say it's going fast, we mean like it's going like what 120 miles an hour.
Yeah, like
it is
it's
moving.
moving. Yeah, and so presumably it scurries up the Colosseum, but we don't actually see this happening. It just drops into the middle of the Colosseum. And
into the top part of the
the very top part of the Colosseum.
Let's be clear. The Colosseum is ridiculously tall.
Yeah, it's
like probably over 1,000 feet tall.
we do it in the Metru Nui episode. It's like 2.5 miles tall.
Yeah. Which is, you can just think about that.
Yeah.
This thing just all the way up in like 5 seconds flat.
Yep. I love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, then the Toa all get out and they're like, oh no, all these Matoran have been put into pods. So all the ones that Duma called into the Colosseum, which were the remaining Matoran in Metru Nui. So at this point, you start to put the pieces together. It's like, oh, he's been putting the Matoran in pods all throughout Metru Nui. So that's why there's these random stashes of pods.
Yep. That's why the Assembler's Village was empty. That's why that transport was going to Po Metru, because it's delivering more pods, right?
Yeah.
That's why they were in the Canyon of Unending Whispers, because those are the people who were in the early pods, so on and so forth.
Yep. So, Duma then reveals himself as Makuta to the Toa and explains that he is putting all the Matoran in the pod so that he can basically make them forget everything, so that when they awake and come out of the pods, that they'll praise him as their hero and god.
Yeah, because the
essentially.
pods put you into like a stasis coma sort of thing. That can't be, you can't wake up from normal means. And the longer you're in there, the more your memories you forget. So he's going to keep them in there for a while, use the Mask of Time to speed up that process. Then when they've all forgotten, he would let them out and be like, yes, I am the great spirit, Makuta, worship me, instead of worshiping Metru Nui.
Yep.
That's his plan.
His evil scheme.
It's actually pretty smart, like kind of pointless, but pretty smart.
Yeah. Like, it's almost a weirdly no harm, no foul sort of plan, because like they would just wake up like 10 minutes later and go back to doing what they're doing, except they follow Makuta instead of the Great Spirit.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I guess.
Plus, there is harm, as we're about to see in 2 seconds here when Samuel says it.
Yeah, so
Ooh, wonder what it'll be.
he, like, after he's done giving this speech, he shoots up in like this weird elevator thing, and it's just out of the blue,
Which literally comes out of nowhere, because it wasn't anywhere to be seen before that.
No.
He like, when you first see him in the Colosseum, he comes down on the elevator
Fair enough.
they present the discs.
Yeah, there's a big old pole on the top of the Colosseum that goes much higher, and that's what the elevator rides up on and down throughout the entire structure. So he just went to the very tip
It's
top.
just funny that he just all of a sudden's like, I need to go to the top of the Colosseum.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, sure, bro.
And if Khan still had his hoverboard, he could have flown up after him.
Or Nikki and Kreka could have just stuck their feet together and gone up there.
Anyway, and so as he's going up the elevator, he says something about sleep, and I'm not sure exactly what the line was. But at that moment, you see the 2 suns in the sky close into like slivers, right? And then they close entirely. The sky goes dark, and then this is what is the start of the Great Cataclysm.
Yeah.
So
The implication being that the 2 suns are like eyes. So
Yeah.
it's like they close like eyelids,
To symbolize the Great Spirit Metru Nui, like
falling asleep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So then the Toa are like, well, we gotta get these Matoran pods to safety. Like, there's not much else we can do at this point. Makuta's clearly gone into whatever next stage he has
because when
planned.
Makuta starts doing that, like a giant red tornado starts
like
encircling the
another
Colosseum,
vortex or tornado.
which is technically him absorbing energy from the power plant underneath the Colosseum.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And did you mention that at this point he had gotten all of the Matoran into pods?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
And that's
didn't
why
know
I
if-
said he called them back to the Colosseum.
Yeah,
and
but
then,
I mean the speed, man.
Yeah.
He must
Like we
have
said,
trained those Vaki to be like Matoran pod.
because
placing
all the events of
machines.
this movie happen in like a few hours, like a day max.
Yeah, it is a day, because I remember when Nua mentions when he woke up that morning, he was an archivist.
I don't know if that's
Wait, that
particularly
can't
literal.
be right because
That's what he says.
they didn't get all the great discs in one day.
He said, I woke up an archivist and now I'm a Toa.
I think that's hyperbole.
I think that's also hyperbole.
Anyway, but it's not
Anyways.
far off. It's like a few days
well,
from
it
them
might
becoming
be.
Toa.
Are you talking when they first turn into Toa?
No, he says it when they're in the prison, I think.
Okay, then never mind. That's out the window. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Um,
But like he put all these Matoran into pods in like
no time.
minutes.
Yeah, like still very quick. So while the Toa are trying to escape with the pods, the Dark Hunters yet again catch up to them and attack them. Surprise attack, mind you, because ambush is their thing. And while they're being attacked, Onua then decides to try to mind control Kreka. And he does this successfully, as we mentioned earlier. And Kreka jumps on Nadiki and is stupid. And he's like, get Nadiki.
Yeah, the command is like get Nadiki, so he goes over, grabs Nadiki,
And the weirdest thing happens.
So like at this moment they're like in the sea, right? Outside of Metru Nui or nearby the Colosseum. Kreka grabs Nadiki, jumps off the craft, and somehow they fly to near the top of the Colosseum from this single jump because they're not in flight mode. And then a shadow hand comes out of the evil Makuta maelstrom and grabs them and brings them back to the Colosseum. It's like, how far did he jump?
Yeah. Well, and another funny thing too that I think we forgot to mention. Earlier on, a statue crushes both Nadiki and Kreka, and then they just show up again.
I think it just crushes Kreka.
No, it crushes both of them.
It was a lava pot that crushed Kreka.
No.
He's talking about in Toa Metru.
Yeah, in
when
Toa Metru.
after
Oh,
the
yeah.
stampede.
And that's the last we see of them
Yeah,
up until this point.
Yeah.
When they just show
No,
up again.
that's
with
not
no
true.
Because they're in the
explanation.
Valley of
they're in
Unending
the-
Whispers.
They are.
Oh, yeah.
They're just immune to
No,
statues.
because it's after that.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Kikanolo are before that. That's how they get the Kikanolo.
Oh, you're
Go
right,
attack.
you're right, you're right.
Yeah.
The statue just had no effect on them. They're statue immune.
That's a fair point.
A common damage resistance.
It's probably because it wasn't real stone, right? So
No, it's because he
you know.
hates Likan, and it was probably a statue of Likan.
Oh. And hate is a powerful,
Yeah,
powerful
hate gives you
Hey,
a
it's an
motivator.
element.
In fact, hate
No, it's a rock shape.
is what
Yeah.
lets you survive from being stabbed by lightsabers.
True.
True.
Yeah. And love.
And apathy.
Being stabbed by love.
Too bad. Good thing love's not canon in this universe.
Shot through the heart. Okay. Anyway, so so Thomas said that they get caught by Makuta, and then Makuta gives some speech to them, basically how he's like, I'm gonna absorb your power and you're gonna become part of me. And so he does. He absorbs Kreka and Nadiki, and they're dead. That's it. They're gone.
Bye-bye.
So then at this point, the Toa and their Vaki transport fall off a cliff into the Protodermis Sea, the actual Protodermis Sea. Luckily, it can float because, of course, it can.
And none of them knew that beforehand. 'cause
I
They
know,
were going
they're
on
just like, let's go.
Yeah, they were on the bridge to the Great Temple. There's a bunch of Vaki who stop them. So they Tokyo drift off the bridge and go into the water, and it can float. And it's like, why'd you do that if you didn't know it could float?
See, Nokama would have been fine. The rest of them, though.
Yeah.
The funniest part is that you have now described it as Tokyo drifting twice, which is perfectly accurate, but extremely bizarre considering it has like 8 legs.
Yeah.
That's a
I
good
don't know
point.
how
It's
it
like,
drifts.
how is it drifting?
And the Kikanolo were drifting, too.
Yeah. A lot of drifting on legs.
Yeah. Oh, actually, maybe I got them mixed up. I think you described the Kikanolo
Yeah, I
as
described the
Tokyo
Kikanolo as
drifting.
Tokyo
You're right. You're right.
drifting.
So this is the second time it's been used, but not on the same object. Okay.
Hey, the Kikanolo are not objects. They're not quite
They're
people, but they're
creatures.
Rahi.
They're Rahi, and their
They
name
have
is...
feelings. So then on the Vaki transport, Vakama crafts the Mask of Time.
Yep.
Just because.
Because earlier in the movie, he just put the Great Disc together and they all merged together.
Oh yeah.
And then they
forgot
never
that.
bring it up until on the back of the Vaki transport. In like the 5 seconds they've had since they've been in the water, boom, makes the Mask of Time right then and there.
Yep.
And if you recall the Toa Nuva episode, when Vakama gives Tahu the Mask of Time, he's like, this thing is the most powerful artifact we know of, period. It can destroy all of space-time. and he just makes it in 5 seconds on the back of a moving, non-seaworthy vehicle.
I mean, just think of the implications of trying to hammer something on a boat. Like,
He doesn't hammer it. He has his mask making tool.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Because I was going to say, like, in a buoyant object, try hammering something. Like, just see how well that goes for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so at this point, Makuta has wings. So he becomes like physical embodiment again. He's not just like this smoke cloud. And like I said, he has wings. I'm guessing, is that because he absorbed Nivok? Okay.
Yeah, because he didn't have wings before.
So he drops in on the Toa, and he's basically like, you are going to vanish in the real Sea of Protodermis, which is a callback to when he was Duma saying the challenge is to cross the Sea of Protodermis. Now you see why the quotation marks were important.
You see why?
Yeah. Vekama basically says like, hey, Matau, like, who was steering the transport, he's like, stay aimed at the light, which there's light on the horizon.
Yeah, so they're going towards the edge of the dome that Metru Nui resides in. There's a little exit at the end of it that light is pouring through.
Yeah. So then as they're going through, Makuta's trying to stop them by like using, we talk about it in the Metru Nui episode, but in the Sea of Protodermis around Metru Nui, there's a defense system where like the hexagonal pillars, like the ones in the Colosseum, can lift up and like destroy any forces, like enemy forces that may be coming in from the water. Basically, that's what Makuta's trying to use to destroy them.
Since he was Turaga Dume, he has access to the system, so he's trying to raise pillars and destroy the floating Vaki transport.
Yeah, exactly. And this sequence is pretty cool, actually. Basically, the Toa just run around using their mass powers and other skills that they've acquired to either move out of the way of the pillars or destroy the pillars or whatever. They go through a whole slew of stuff. And then at this point, Vekama launches up to Makuta, who's residing on this like cliff wall just off above them. Actually, it might be on the edge of the dome. Is that why? Like, do they?
It's a bit unclear on where he's standing. I think it's on a set of raised pillars.
Okay.
But
it sort of seems like
that's
maybe
what
it's
it
just
looks
like a
like,
cliff.
but I don't know how close it is to the edge of the dome.
The dome in this is very rocky and natural.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm wondering, because then
I'm not sure exactly where he is. It doesn't really matter.
Anyway, he's
on
above
a rock,
them.
a piece of rock.
Yeah. So Vekama launches up to him, pulls out the Mask of Time, and Makuta's like, but Vekama, don't you really want to come with me? You can be part of my brotherhood. And Vekama's like, no, I have one true destiny that I want. And he puts on the Mask of Time and
over his normal mask.
So this is what we were referencing earlier with Lee Khan putting a helmet over his mask. This is Vekama putting a mask over a mask.
And before this, Makuta, when he was disguised as Duma, was wearing Duma's mask over his normal mask of shadows.
True.
There's a lot of masks over masks.
It's very strange.
I love it though.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
it doesn't
so
make
bizarre.
sense
It makes
90%
no
of the
sense.
time too, because some of the masks that they wear over their other masks are smaller than the mask that's behind it.
And maybe you could have said like, oh, maybe it's just putting it over, right? And it's replacing the other one, which is being teleported to some like a Suva or something, right? Except that the Lee Khan mask is just like a helmet he wears over part of his mask and head. And the Vahi also goes over.
Like we can see Vekama's mask underneath it.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I don't buy that.
Yeah, I have like no clue what's going on here.
Anyway, so then Makuta shoots out this giant like red shadow hand claw thing at Vekama, and Vekama uses the Mask of Time to slow it down, and then right at that point, Turaga Dume jumps. Sorry, not Turaga Dume. Turaga Lee Khan jumps in front of Vekama, and like the claw kind of glances off of him, and Makuta kind of stumbles backwards. Lee Khan lands on the ground. and the mask of time gets knocked off of Vekama. Oh, that's what happens. It gets knocked off of Vekama and falls off of the edge. And so then Makuta jumps off after it to try to save it. Anyway, and so then we get this sequence where Lacan is dying, basically. And so he talking to Vekama, and he says whatever inspiring words that he says. It's kind of generic. It's whatever. But then he takes off his mask and gives it to Vekama and says, like, keep this, you know.
Then Vekama reaches behind him and it disappears.
And then it disappears, yes. So,
and I also will say one cool thing from the novelization. Vekama is using the Mask of Time to slow him and Makuta down exclusively. So everything else is flowing in normal time. They're the only ones moving slow. Makuta in the novelization is thinking to himself, he's like, this guy's so stupid. Like, he doesn't know how to use his normal mask or this mask, so he's flubbing this up. He could have done way more powerful stuff. And Makuta's like, I should have had this mask. I could have done way more with it. And then Lee Khan jumps away. He's like, dang it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Just really quickly, we mentioned that he puts it on his back, but in the movie, the actual visual is like it goes behind his back and then the object just shrinks until you can't see it anymore. And it looks so weird.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Like,
it's like Looney Tunes, like put something in your pocket level of logic.
Yeah, it's pretty funny though. So at this point, Vekama also suddenly discovers his mask power. It just happens.
Which seems like a step down from the literal Mask of Time, but who am I to argue, I guess.
Right.
So
it's
to
weird
remind you
that the climax is Vekama discovering his Toa mask power rather than him using the Mask of Time.
Yeah, it is very weird.
Which I can't stress enough, has complete control over time.
Right.
Straight up.
Yeah. So again, we talked about the weird choices of the plot and story and just why did they do things the way they did it, and this is one of those big things.
Yeah. But post Lee Khan's death, right, is where we are now.
Yeah, so Vekama, his mask power is concealment, as we talked about earlier, which basically allows him to turn invisible. So again, we talked about in the Toa Metru episode, but he turns invisible-ish. Like, for all intents and purposes, he's invisible, but he still makes sound and he still casts a shadow. And I didn't actually pay attention in the movie to see if he did have a shadow.
I couldn't tell you. They
it
don't
didn't
really show
look
it's
like
overcast
it, but it was hard
and
to
dark
say.
at that
in the
point
novelization,
in the movie,
though, Makuta does see his shadow occasionally and try to go for him from it.
So, okay, cool. So Makuta shows back up, he flies back up, and he has the Mask of Time, which he, as you recall, he jumped off to go get. And Vekama shoots a disc at him and knocks the mask into the ocean. So basically he's like, haha, the Mask of Time. And then Vekama's like, nuh-uh, boom. Shoots a disc, knocks the Mask of Time out of his hand, and this time it actually drops into the ocean.
And this would have happened because Makuta's standing there holding it and like reveling in it. He's holding it like Simba in the Lion King, like, oh, slowly moving it towards his face, while invisible Vekama just walks up and goes, blam, knocks it straight into the ocean, gone forever.
To the movie's credit, though, Vekama does have to turn visible to shoot it.
Yes.
Which I actually thought that was a nice
Yeah,
detail.
because mask powers take an intense amount of concentration.
Yeah.
Right. So he can't shoot.
Also,
and use mask.
shooting accurately takes immense power of concentration.
Yep.
Oh, actually, really quickly, they knock it into the ocean, and that is the last time you see it in the movie, which is very weird because it's not the last time it shows up in the story. And it shows up again in Vekama's possession because that's when he gives it to Tahu, which we've already discussed. So yeah, Makuta and Vekama then get into a fight, and Vekama just runs around invisible basically and tricks Makuta into grabbing all of these stones with his claw. And he keeps like grabbing them, ripping them out of the ground, and then like slamming them into his chest.
Yeah.
Because
apparently his shadow claw is like an auto retract function. So like some of the pillars he bats away with his hand so it doesn't impact him, but some are like too big and he just takes the hit.
Yeah.
You'd think he'd stop using the shadow claw.
Yeah, you would think that. Since he seems pretty powerful without it, but whatever, he continues to do it. And so naturally, Vakama uses this to his advantage, and he gets him to pull on a massive pillar, which then crushes Makuta, and just dazes him. And so then the other Toa show up. There's some conversation, but then the other Toa show up, and they're like, we're gonna get rid of you once and for all, basically. And they all use their power together to create a Toa seal, and so they seal Makuta on like the side of the cliff. And so that's kind of why I was wondering if it was the dome, like if it was they sealed him onto the outside or like the inside of the dome, because it kind of looks like that, but
it could be, but
I don't really know.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, so they put the seal on him, and then they turn around and they see a Toa star shoot up into the sky, and then it splits into six
Spirit stars. Yeah.
Vaguely,
Sorry, I meant
each one
spirits, sorry,
colored
not-
to the Toa's element.
Yeah. So that's basically like, oh wow, we are actually Toa. I think one of them almost literally says
I think
that.
No Comma pretty
Yeah.
much says that exactly.
And so also something I kind of forgot to mention, we didn't really talk about, is like we mentioned Vakama being whiny and annoying, kind of very full of self-doubt. He is not confident at all, basically, throughout the whole movie. But then right at the end, after he puts on the Mask of Time, he's all of a sudden like, I am a Toa. I know what I'm meant to do. And that's kind of where he gives that speech to Makuta, where he's like, I have one destiny that I desire.
Yeah, which I think would have worked if it came after Lee Khan died.
Yeah, that's where it is really weird. It's like,
Because instead it just comes out of nowhere. He's like, suddenly, yep, I can take on Makuta by myself. It's like, are you stupid?
Yeah.
You couldn't even take on a Vaki by yourself.
I mean, he did have the Mask of Time in his possession at that point, so he may have just been like,
Ego
I
trip.
am a god. Like, no one can stop me now.
Fair.
It's just very strange and out of nowhere.
Yeah. So then the Toa carry all of the Matoran pods through the tunnel up to what we know is Mata Nui. So they put them on the shores of Mata Nui, and then they awaken them using their Toa power. So we've discussed in previous episodes a lot about Toa power and kind of what it is and how it's used. And so when they expend their Toa power, it turns them into Turaga. So they use all of it to wake up all of the Matoran, and then they become Turaga. This is why they're Turaga when we start the story on Mata Nui.
And this is also why none of the Matoran on Mata Nui remember Metru Nui, because they were in the pods
for a long enough
time, and they were also getting jostled around and stuff in transit, so they'd lost their memories. So that's, and the Turaga just never tell them. I guess
they're like need to know basis, I guess.
Yeah.
And it is worth noting that there is a huge time jump here. So they make it seem like, they bring the Matoran pods through and everything's hunky dory, and they all just turn into Turaga and everybody's awake on Mata Nui. But it's like, no, so like Thomas said, they're in the pods for a long time. That's because the whole next arc with the Toa Metru happens in between the point where they drop off the pods and when they actually awaken the Matoran. And so I guess probably it took a lot of time to actually transport all the Matoran back and forth as well, right? So it's like there's a lot of time that they just skip, and actually a whole story, a major story that they
there's
skip.
6 additional books of Toa Metru content between that and waking them up.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird in that regard, and it does feel very much weird because it's like they just got turned to Toa at the beginning of this movie, and at the end they're Turaga. They gave it all up for one adventure. The last thing we see in the movie is so they wake up the Matoran, and then we get to see Takua, who we saw in the Mask of Light, right? He's who becomes Takanuba. He's the Matoran. And then we also see a Matoran with a broken mask. And so the colors are very reminiscent of a Matoran that we also have seen a lot of, but he has a broken mask. And so Vakama pulls out Lee Khan's mask out of thin air again, which, see, this makes less sense now because he's a Turaga. He doesn't have connection to the Suva anymore.
The Suva turned into a Turaga. It's just smaller now.
It's a Turaga Suva. It's also like in Metru Nui, and they're on Mata Nui now. So
Teleportation is teleportation.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, the Abmatorn go from Cardanui to...
Spoilers.
Let's not talk about that.
Anyway.
I don't want to talk about Abmatorn anymore.
Yeah, I don't either.
So Vakama pulls out Likan's mask and he gives it to the Matoran, and the Matoran puts it on, and it changes shape a little bit to be more reminiscent of the actual set, and we recognize him as Jala. So Takua's companion in the Mask of Light.
Jala gets Likan's mask. Special.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I really like that connection.
Story-wise, I like it. It is interesting that loses its power, though, presumably.
But Matoran can't wear
No, it loses its
powered
power.
masks
It's a powerless
That's
But that's what
Okay.
I'm saying. That would make sense why.
But
it doesn't suck the power out of great masks.
I don't know.
A Matoran puts on a great mask, just absorbs all the energy.
if you just kill all of the Matoran, you just get this massive amount of mask power.
I just like to imagine when Takuta Nuva revives Jalar, like it's just totally Khan again. He's like, "Where am I?" He'll be like, "What the heck?"
That would
I'm
actually
Jalar.
be funny.
Just keeps touching the mask, and new people keep spawning out of it.
How many people have worn this mask, man?
Anyway, so that's the end of the movie.
It only took us as long to explain it as the movie
No
actually
longer.
was.
But I feel like this was more fun.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, okay, so
The movie, I feel like, is worth watching if
you have an hour and a half to kill
Yeah.
and you really,
And you're a
really
huge
don't
Bionicle
have
fan.
anything else to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can, just so you guys know, you can watch it on Biomedia Project, which is a phenomenal website. They collect
Everything Bionicle.
as it sounds, everything Bionicle, all different types of media.
They've got the promos, trailers, comics, books, movies,
video games,
yeah, concept art, community links and stuff,
story
Bibles, like everything.
It's really incredible. So if you are interested in learning about like getting primary source material from what we're talking about, head to there. And like I said, you can find the movie on there. So if you want to watch it and you can't find a place to watch it or don't own it, just go to there.
Yeah. Alternatively,
it's all free.
It is relatively easy to find on eBay or other websites too if you're more
If you
interested
really
in
want a
owning the physical copy.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. Anyway, so that's basically it for the movie. Just some random closing thoughts unrelated to the story, but as I was thinking about the movie, some technical stuff is super weird in that movie, and something we notice very often. And so, like, just forewarn you if you're going to actually watch it, there are like a bunch of random changes in frame rate. So like there are parts where they'll do slow motion, but it's really just reducing the time, like increasing the time between each frame. And so it very stuttery and super weird. And you would think that it'd only be in scenes where they're trying to do slow motion, but it's not. It's throughout the whole movie. Like, it seems like at any point, if they realized that section needed to be retimed, they didn't reanimate it or fix the animation and re-render it. They took the final rendered version and retimed that. And so you get these really weird sequences where stuff seems to just slow down and miss frames. Like, you're clearly like, there should have been a frame there, but it got stretched out way longer than it was supposed to. Why? So just if anybody knows about the movie or the development of the movie, I would love to know how, like, what the reason was for that, and if that's actually what they were doing, if they were just retiming the last, like, the clip instead of the actual animation itself.
Yeah, and honestly, if you happen to have worked on this movie, know someone who worked on the movie, you know, have any affiliation with the movie, just reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you because we're really curious about that kind of stuff. Any of the 3 movies.
Yeah.
If you worked with Miramax at all.
Hey,
Yeah.
4
Love to talk to
movies.
you.
Legend Reborn.
True, but Legend Reborn was not Miramax.
I know.
But
we don't
even
only
still,
accept
we
mirror
would
movies.
I'm just saying, specifically these 3 movies,
Yeah.
the trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can message us on Instagram, or our email is in the description of the video on YouTube, as well as in the Spotify and all the other descriptions. You can find it.
Yeah.
So we would be happy to hear from you and love more information if you have it.
As for my closing thoughts, I think one part of the movie that works really well is when Lacan's spirit star bursts into the 6. And it's like, okay, they did complete their quest. You know, they did become true Toa, which is kind of a running theme through the thing. It's like, are they actually a Toa, or are they just Matoran stuck in Toa bodies? Right. So I think that's
they do act like it for a lot of the beginning part of the movie. So it's a good completion.
Yeah. The one thing that bothers me the most, though, is you get very little characterization for most of the Toa. Like Onua, Wanua, and Nuju are just stuck in a cave almost the entire time, and they don't have any like meaningful interactions or like come to any new conclusions on how to use their mass powers or anything. And then they just team up at the end and beat Makuta. It's like, I would have liked to see a little more interaction between the Toa. So I think that's the biggest missed opportunity for me, which the books alleviate because there's so much interaction between them.
Movies definitely have their golden children, that is for sure.
And Matau was this movie's golden child. They loved Matau.
They did.
Yeah.
So much screen time, so many lines of dialogue.
Matau, the screen loves Matau like Matau would love to be on the screen.
Exactly.
Well, guys, another one down. One more to go. 2 more if you count Legend Reborn.
Oh, I thought you were talking about episodes. I'm like, nope.
False.
Oh, no, there's way more.
Movies.
Movies
Yes.
specifically, and actually the next one will be pretty soon. And then we get a nice long break before Legend Reborn. So
2005, baby.
That's going to bring us to an end of today's episode, but watch out for the next episode because that's going to be all about protodermis as a concept and all the applications that it can have. And protodermis is a crazy fascinating subject that you guys, I think, will love to hear about because it's just mind-blowing and adds to the complete uniqueness and wonder that is Bionicle. So get ready for that next week. Until then, see ya. This brings us to the end of today's podcast. If you enjoyed the discussion, please follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you like to watch instead of listen, you can also find us on YouTube. The Barraki Talk Show is only made possible thanks to viewers like you. Thank you.